So how to verify that you're all set with your CloudWatch? For that, simply type CloudWatch in the search bar. Let me do it. And I am going to open the CloudWatch logs or CloudWatch dashboard. You can say that. What we have to verify. First of all, we have to verify, do we have any log groups created based on the changes we have made? So click on log groups and we are going to see few log groups. Okay, you can always apply the filter on the basis of creation date. Like I'm applying a filter on the basis of creation date, and I can see that two log groups got created. This is a default namespace which has been created with a welcome. Okay, this is the major one where we can see the API Gateway execution logs. And how can we verify that this belongs to our API? Okay, go back to the API and check the invoke URL. In the invoke URL, you can see this particular number, or you can say that you are seeing this ID. You can match this ID here and it will be visible to you. Okay, so this is the log group created corresponding to our API. Now, currently, you will not be seeing any log event ideally. Okay, you can see that we don't have any log event. So, in order to test it, let's trigger our API. You know how to trigger it. Either you can trigger it using Cloud Shell or you can trigger it using the Python client like we had seen in the previous stages. Okay, let's see everybody. So, I'm opening Cloud Shell and I am going to trigger my API using curl command. Okay, you know the command. I have also taken the command one more time for all of you. This is a command we have to execute, okay, with this request body which I have taken. Obviously, I need to replace the invoke URL with the one I'm having. You have to pass the API ID. This is the same with which you had seen that CloudWatch had created a log group. Okay, so I'm taking the complete URL, everybody. Let me do that. I'm going back and I am taking this invoke URL. Let me replace this URL here. Okay, don't forget to append the resource name which is predict. This is an entry point, remember. Okay, and now let's execute this. Let me copy this. Let's come back here and let's paste it. Okay, right now we have not added any authentication, so we don't have to pass any token. Okay, once we are going to add the authentication, adding a token is must, otherwise you are going to get error. Okay, let's press enter and let's see what is the result we are going to get. So we have got a status code 200. This time we have got different class based on the request body we had changed. Okay, now come back here and quickly refresh this. So either you can refresh this from here or otherwise you can also refresh the browser sometimes. Okay, so you could see that when I refreshed it twice, I could see a log stream. And when I'm going to open this log stream, this is the logs I have got. Okay, which is saying that successfully completed the execution. Okay, it is talking about the call which we had made. It is saying method completed with status code 200, which says that okay, success. Okay, so now you can see the importance of these logs. Right now we know that we have generated the success response, so we have got the particular success logs here because anyhow we had logged both info and error. Okay, let's suppose that you are landing into some error situation and you want to troubleshoot that what exactly is wrong. Okay, or what exactly is not correct, which you have to rectify in order to make it successful. You can easily track that. You can easily watch that using CloudWatch logs. Okay, so remember, when you are exploring something, you can extend it as per your need, as AWS provides you different services, and the best part is integration among those services. Okay, so now let me pass on some tips for monitoring and cost optimization. So I will be giving you a brief idea on monitoring best practices for data science and machine learning workloads. Let's start with monitoring model behavior and data drift. So your model may degrade even when the application is healthy. You can make use of tools like CloudWatch metrics and logs for endpoint latency, for invocation count, for errors, for resource utilization. You can make use of SageMaker model monitor. Okay. in order to detect data quality drift, label drift, or model quality issues. There are some key metrics to watch. Let's suppose if you have to watch the model performance, you can monitor the accuracy, precision, recall, confidence scores. In a similar manner, you have different categories and accordingly you can monitor different metrics. Okay. You can monitor infrastructure health, that is basically applies to Lambda, ECS, SageMaker, and EKS. Correspondingly, you can collect metrics in the CloudWatch and you can also trigger the alarms based on the thresholds you have given. Okay. If you have to enable end-to-end logging, you can make use of structured JSON logs. You can make use of CloudWatch logs. Okay. And then you have to decide what exactly you want to log. Let's say you want to log input validation error, or you want to log inference latency, or any fallback logic. Okay. So these are certain tips which you can follow while you are enabling or incorporating monitoring as a part of your workload. When it comes to cost optimization, your cost optimization should be started with using a right sizing for compute. If you are choosing SageMaker, you have to ensure, like for GPU workloads, what are the available compute options you can make use of. Okay. You can use Lambda along with containers, or normally you can use Lambda power tuning tool. Always turn off the endpoints when not needed. This is going to save the massive cost. Okay. Let's suppose for real-time development testing, you can use SageMaker endpoint auto stop automation. You should also prefer serverless architecture for lightweight models, like you can use a combination of Lambda and API Gateway, one which we had seen. Okay. You can make use of Lambda container images. So benefits are zero idle cost, because here you are not the one who is managing the underlying infrastructure. It is taken care by the cloud provider for you. Okay. If you are aware about VMs, which is EC2 here, pricing option, one such very good option is spot instances for training. It is ideal when training is not real time critical, means when you can handle the interruptions. Okay. You can minimize storage cost, like where and how you're going to store the data. Like if you are using S3, we have options of different storage classes. You can also make use of some tools which can generate recommendations based on the workload. One such tool is Compute Optimizer. So make the right choices and keep on reviewing your workload in the AWS cloud. Also, make use of the recommendation services in order to follow the best practices. So let's conclude with a key takeaway. So data scientists learn how to take machine learning models from development to real world production on AWS by packaging models, deploying them as serverless APIs, enabling monitoring and integration them with the applications. Okay. So here, data scientist gains hands-on experience in deploying ML models on AWS using standard practices, using containerized inferences with AWS Lambda, API Gateway for secure real-time predictions APIs, CloudWatch for logging and monitoring, and best practices for packaging, course, cross-origin resource sharing. So data scientists move from model training to deployable API to testable, scalable production endpoint. Thank you very much for watching this video series and all the very best. Hope you had enjoyed this video series lecture with me.